group that is the most seen by the average person? Nope.
Masons?
Nope. Nope. One red American Beauty rose. It is the symbol of the secret destiny of America. It is the international symbol of Marxist socialism. It is the symbol of the birth of the New World Order. You need to get the song called The Rose and listen to it again. Because even when things are going against it, the seed is lying beneath the snow in the cold of winter, when their movement has to be suppressed. And in the spring, when the sun warms the earth and melts the snow, the seed comes to life, and the germ begins to grow. And the rose begins to open its petals. Pretty song, huh? You never knew it had a message, did you? It gives courage and hope to all the socialists of the world. What is the message of the song? Who knows the lyrics? What's the message of the song? If you're afraid to die, you cannot grow. Who knows the song? The soul that is afraid to die never lives. It's giving courage to these people. You may have to die for the fulfillment of the great plan. Don't be afraid. For even though it is in the cold of the winter snow, the seed is just waiting for the summer's warmth of spring.
Jihad program.
Give your life willingly for the completion of the great plan. Do whatever's necessary. You see, it's going on right under our noses and we don't even know a thing about it. What did they do after they blew up the building in Oklahoma City? And make no mistake about it, they blew up the building to demonize American patriots, disarm American citizens, create draconian legislation to enable them to do what they need to do as one more step toward their New World Order. They had a memorial service, and you see President Clinton and Hillary holding the one red rose. And they handed one red rose to everyone who went in there. And they gave one red rose to all the rescuers and the police officers and everybody who took part in the rescue effort. Laughing at us and telling the world what it was all about. Timothy McVeigh may be guilty. But if he is, he was used. He's a patsy. Because he's not a socialist. I don't know anything about Terry Nichols, but I know that much about McVeigh.
He might have driven the truck, but he didn't like the filler charges.
Yeah. And I think McVeigh was honestly the kind of guy, if he had known there was going to be anybody in the building, he wouldn't have done anything. Tell you the truth. Not because I know him personally, but because we have investigated his entire life. He is not a racist. He was not a member of any militia. He was an American patriot who wanted to be a member of the United States Army Special Forces. He went there, he tried out, he passed all the physical trials and tests and everything. When they asked him one question, if we give you an order to assassinate someone, will you carry out that order with no reservations and no hesitation? And he said no. They said, you can't be a member of U.S. Army Special Forces. Put him out the door, and he was recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency on the same day. Who are these people? Everybody take out a dollar bill right now. $1 bill. Now I'm going to amaze you. You see, they always make themselves known. They always speak to each other in symbols. There is no mystery about any of this if you understand how to read their language. At the highest levels of this initiatory group, there is what's known as the Order of the Trapezoid. The head of the Temple of Set in San Francisco is a member of the Order of Trapezoid. He's also a member of United States Army Intelligence, G2. So is his top 2 lieutenants in the Temple of Set. What is the Temple of Set? It's the Church of Satan. They have a saying in the New Age movement, as above, so below. You've all heard the reference to the pyramid below the pyramid? What are they talking about? They're talking about the concept of the way things work and are brought into being in the world. Okay? Why do you see so many triangles everywhere? Why is everything a triangle? The food triangle, the this triangle, the nutrition triangle, the yield sign triangle, the triangle on tanks in the army. What's this with all the triangles? And now you're seeing pyramids spring up everywhere, all over the place. Well, there's a method to their madness. This is the Trinity. What does the Trinity represent? How things are created and brought into the world. It is reflected in religion as the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. In the mysteries, it is thought, desire, and action. Thought, desire, and action. Look at the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States of America. What do you see? You see a pyramid. What's a pyramid doing on a dollar bill for the United States of America? This is in Egypt. Why would we have a pyramid on our dollar bill? No other reason than to send a message. Look behind the pyramid. What do you see? Come on, speak up.
Light.
No. What do you see behind the pyramid? Look there. What's growing there? Anything? Desert. Nothing is there. We left the old world because it was barren, wasteland. There was nothing for us there. We came to the new world, and what do you see in front of the pyramid? Things beginning to sprout and grow. We have planted the seed of the great plan, the New World Order, in the New World. And it is taking root, and it is growing. There are 13 courses on the pyramid. You can count them. The 13 courses are, 13 is the symbol of the phoenix, death and rebirth, resurrection. You see at the top of the pyramid the eye. The eye is the reminder to everyone who sees it that we are everywhere, we see everything, there's nothing that we don't know. On the bottom course of the pyramid there are Roman numerals. What are they? No. Read me those Roman numerals in order. Read them to me. M what?
F, D, C, C, L, X, X, B, I.
Okay. I knew it, but I want you to participate. If you don't participate, you cannot learn. Thank you. What does that mean? What does that say? 1776. Everybody says that's the birth of the Constitution. When was the Constitution born? 1789. This isn't the birth of the Constitution. 1776, what else was born? The Bavarian Illuminati. Everybody says, this stands for the birth of the Bavarian Illuminati. Weishaupt created the Illuminati. More bullshit. It's not true. The Illuminati has existed throughout the history of humanity. Wasn't born with Weishaupt. Weishaupt created a Bavarian order of the Illuminati and made it publicly known. That was a no-no. Wasn't supposed to happen. Let's find out what they're talking about here. Because the modern form of the Illuminati and the birth of the Great Plan occurred in the year 1110. What happened in 1110? The Knights Templars conquered Jerusalem and crowned the king, or excuse me, not the Knights Templars, but the Crusaders conquered the city of Jerusalem and crowned the king of Jerusalem. What was his name? That's your homework. Find out who was the first king of Jerusalem crowned on the Temple Mount in 1110. I'll tell you this, he was one in the line of the Merovingian kings. Nope. Okay, let's see what this is all about. Let's see if we can decipher this. I'll tell you we can, and we will, and it's going to blow your mind. Let's see what this really refers to. And we'll use the order of the trapezoids formula for enciphering, and the New Age concept of the pyramid beneath the pyramid, and as above, so below. Remember, as above, so below. So, what is a trapezoid? A trapezoid is a pyramid on top of a pyramid, and remember it has various faces to it. But you don't need the other faces. Let's just plug this in. M, D, C. C, L, X, X, V, I. What have we got? What does it say across the top? MCX, what is that? 1110. I was right. What is their goal? Is their goal what I've been telling you it is all day? Well, let's find out. What are these people up to? What do they want to do? Remember I told you their goal was to destroy all existing governments, all existing religions, and shackle the mob. And how do you do that? What's DC? 600. What's LX? 60. What's VI? 6. Their goal is to seat the Antichrist upon the throne of the world. And you've been carrying it around in your pocket forever. Who is the Pope? He is the Emperor of Rome. Rome never died, never faded away. It became the Vatican. What is the Vatican? It is the priesthood of all of the old pagan religions of Rome, built upon the deception that they are Christian. Can man change the orders of God? Can man change the orders of God? Can man elevate himself above God? No. Then why did the Pope change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, the venerable day of the worship of the sun Osiris? Why in the outer courtyard of the Vatican is there a temple of the sun, an obelisk, and a reflecting pool built as a fountain around the base of the obelisk? Because what we're talking about in Dealey Plaza and in Washington, D.C. exists also in the Vatican. And I'm not trying to insult Catholics, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. You can believe in whatever you want to believe. I will never argue with you about that or try to stop you in any way. In fact, I'll fight and die for your right to do that. The king of Jerusalem founded an order of knights shortly after he was crowned, called the Knights Templar. Their first task was to explore the caverns and tunnels below the Temple Mount and find whatever relics of the past that they could find. They became the richest order in the world. They became the first international bankers. They were, to my knowledge, the first communist. Actually, that's not true because the Gnostics were the first communists. But the Knights Templar became the second large group of a communistic order that existed in the world. Their symbol is two knights riding on one horse. When they joined the order, they had to give up all their worldly possessions, goods, money, clothes, property, everything, to the order. And they were only given according to their need in the position that they were assigned to perform by the order. What is that? Communism. They didn't own anything. They didn't have anything. They were never given anything unless they absolutely needed it to do whatever job they were assigned. And they were given only what food and clothing they needed for that particular day or that time or wherever they were or how much labor that they were performing. They were communists. Were they created by the Vatican or by the church? No. That's the biggest misconception you could ever have in your whole life. No, they weren't. The church never even noticed them, didn't care about them until they became powerful and rich and wealthy and started to own lands and lend money to kings and queens. Then the Pope called the head of the order to Rome and didn't ask them anything. Instead, what he did was legitimize them as a holy order of the church, whether they wanted to be or not, and gave them the red cross to wear upon their tunic. The Pope, as a mission, said that they were to protect the pilgrims going to Jerusalem. Did they ever do that? Did they ever protect the pilgrims going to Jerusalem? No. They never did. It's more BS thrown out for the sheeple. What did they do? They protected the church's interests. They protected their interests. They conquered. They had secret alliances with Saladin that the world doesn't know about. They brought the mysteries from the Middle East to Europe and practiced them. They created the great plan after their master Jacques de Molay was burned at the stake in the efforts of the Pope and the King of France to destroy the Knights Templar when they felt they got too powerful. Where did the pirates come from? Did you know that the Knights Templars had one of the largest fleets in the world? Did you know that one of their symbols is the skull and bones? Did you know that on every grave of the Knights Templars in Europe is the skull and bones? Did you know that when the Templars were destroyed by the Pope and the King of France, the entire fleet escaped and became the pirates? Didn't you ever wonder why the pirates were called the Brotherhood? Didn't you ever wonder why they could all sail into the same port and never fight against each other? Didn't you ever wonder where the Templars' fleet went? Didn't you ever wonder where the skull and crossbones came from? Didn't you ever wonder why the Russell Trust at Yale University is called the Skull and Bones? George Bush is a member. He's a Knights Templar. And many other great men who have occupied high positions of this government. Their goal is revenge for the persecution of men of intellect and science throughout the Middle and Dark Ages by the church, by the kings and queens, by the governments, and by the ignorant mob. That's why they want to destroy all existing governments, destroy all existing religions, and put the shackles on the mob. Now, if you think they're wrong in doing this, you go back and study the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages and the Inquisition. And then you come back and tell me that these guys haven't got a right to be pissed off. They do. Does anybody in here know how many people were murdered in the name of the church? In the name of Jesus Christ, who would not have condoned one bit of, is not the Jesus Christ that I know from reading my Bible. Does anybody know how many people have been murdered by kings and queens because they refused to be enslaved by them? Or because they had an idea that was different? Or because they read books? That's all they did was read a book. Got caught reading a book. Anybody know? Look in history and find out. It's another reason why you should never, ever let church and state become reality. Church and government have to be separate. I don't care what church you belong to. You try to make your church part of government, and I'm going to step in the middle. Because I know what happens when that happens. Members of the same church can't agree with each other. How many different denominations of so-called Protestantism is there? Huh? Did you know that even in the beginnings of this country, people had to flee from colony to colony because different colonies had different dogmas and different preachings and teachings, and if you disagreed with it or said something that was out of line with your local minister, you could be burned at the stake here in America. How many of you knew that? It's the truth. That's why I get so angry when somebody comes up and tells me this is a Christian government. Which Christian? Where did you come from? Who taught you this nonsense? Our founding fathers did everything they could to prevent that kind of thing from happening. And at the same time, allow you to worship at whatever altar, whatever God, whatever denomination, whatever dogma you wanted to. And that's really the key to freedom and the success of the first 150 years of this country. Unless you think I'm attacking Christians, I am a Christian. But I'm a Christian that Jesus Christ would want to know. Yes, sir.
In all of these situations you referred to, too, weapons was a primary key element. They were disarmed prior to being killed.
That's right. In every period of tremendous mass murder and genocide that's ever occurred in the history of the world, the target was usually, in every case, disarmed just prior to it happening. And I'm telling you right now, that's the key to the big push to disarm the American people, is if you don't fit their definition of the mental attitude for the citizen of the New World Order, you're going to be exterminated. They don't want you here. And part of their plan is to reduce the overall population of the earth by a tremendous amount. The target population for North America, I'm not talking about the United States, I'm talking about North America, is 100 million people. They make no secret of this. They've written about it. You want your eyes to be opened? Go read The Aquarian Conspiracy. Who wrote that?
Does that include Mexico?
Who?
Does that include Mexico?
No, you're wrong. Who was it back there? Marilyn Ferguson. She knows. She's a part of the Aquarian Conspiracy, and she's telling you the truth in the book. And you know what she says in the book? We're going to eliminate these dudes. You think she's talking about moving you somewhere else? No. She's talking about you're going to be eliminated, removed from the face of the earth, killed. They want us out of the way. Freedom cannot exist in the New World Order. They want total control of everybody from now on. Okay? Everybody understand all of this stuff? That's why it's so important that you research the secret orders. The secret orders have existed since the beginning of mankind, when the first man learned something that nobody else knew and said, all right, I'll start the fire tonight if you'll all be good, and if I can have that woman and I get the comfortable place in the cave, and you all go hunt meat for me because I'm hungry, and I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to come back. First priest, first king. Since that time, knowledge has been used to control other people. The common man was not allowed to read books, or have knowledge, or learn, or go to school. It was a beast of burden. The worker. Okay?
What was the name of the book? Aquarian?
The Aquarian Conspiracy.
Author?
Marilyn Ferguson. A lot of other things out there you need to read. So you pass these things by because they don't interest you. I'm not a New Ager. I'm not even going in that section. I'm a Christian, so I'm not going to read any other religious books. Secret societies? The Illuminati, no such thing. How do I know? Rush Limbaugh told me. Excellence in broadcasting. Allison does the greatest Rush Limbaugh impression that you've ever seen in your life. Yes, Gary?
I've heard Alex, it's great. If you take the number 666 times 3, it comes out 1998 to it. And numerology, I guess that means that's going to be a great year for them.
No, it's going to be a bad year for us. It's going to be a great year for them. We don't have much time left. Clinton gave us the time label. He said 1,000 days, and that was on the night of his address to Congress on the state of the nation. He told us 1,000 days. We're going to see the sunset, and we are preparing our children for the new dawn. Now you better take what he says seriously, because he's not joking. He's not lying this time.
When did he say that, Bill?
State of the Union message.
Who's it?
I played it on my broadcast just so to make sure everybody got it a second time. And I'll probably play it again just so that they get it for the third time. And you'll be surprised how many people still won't get it even then.
Circus act and all that.
Yep, circus act and all.
Those other guys like Dole and them, they knew what he meant.
Absolutely. Bob Dole is a 33rd degree Freemason. You really think he's on your side because he calls himself a Republican? Read Hegel. Read Hegel. It's exactly the way they corrupt the nation. You vote for him because he's a Republican. And you're a Republican, conservative, upstanding, American traditional constitutionist, right? So you're going to vote for the Republican, who happens to be a lying piece of crap, who's not a Republican at all. He's an illuminist, pushing us into the New World Order. Most people vote Republican because their parents were Republican. They don't even know what the word means. And if you took the meaning of Republican and applied it to any of the candidates who call themselves Republican, you'll see that they're not even close. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Under the pyramid on the wall, what is that in Latin?
1776. Novus Ordo Seclorum. Literally what it means is announcing the birth of the New World Order. The birth of the new secular order. Read it. Septus, annuit septus, announcing the birth of. Down below, the new world order, the new secular order. It's been on our dollar bill all this time. If you'll notice, one of the words have been intentionally misspelled so that there would be exactly 13 letters. Intentionally, because there had to be 13. Everything there is 13. 13, 13, 13. Everything is 13.
The extra C in septus?
Pardon?
The extra C in septus?
No, it's seclorum that was misspelled. Seclorum was misspelled intentionally so that there would be 13 letters in Novus Ordo Seclorum. Pardon?
Do you have a list of recommended
Yeah.
readings?
Pardon?
Do you have a list of like recommended readings or you know where to go?
No, but I did a tape in the Mystery Babylon series that has the whole hour as a bibliography. I did it on tape. Yes, sir.
Joe offers a tape too by Don Motis, I think it was. He was a member of the Illuminati, and he goes into great detail on just what you just discussed too.
How does one determine who these Masons are? Like you said, Bob Dole. Is there a list they publish?
No, they're secret orders. Unless the member lets it be known who he is, the only other way to tell is by the symbology of their language or what they do. But see, who's who, when they ask somebody to be in who's who, they ask them to provide a list of all of their organizations and associations and degrees and all that kind of stuff. Bob Dole gave it to them. It's right in there. You want to know who they are? Go to who's who and start looking in there first. If you can't find out, call their office and say, I would like to have a list of the membership organizations to which Congressman so-and-so belongs to. And if it's not listed on there, call him up or go and talk to him. And when you walk in and talk to him, give him the handshake of the Master Mason and say, are you a traveling man? And if he gives you the handshake back and says, yes, I'm traveling from west to east, you got your answer. That's how I verified that Bo Gritz was a Freemason. I heard him say it on the Billy Goodman show one time, and then I heard him say it at a speech he gave in Las Vegas in July of 1990, I believe it was. Pardon? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, but I'm talking about when I heard him say, he said, I'm a 32nd degree Freemason of the Scottish Rite. And then later he denied it. Well, he didn't know that I knew what that meant. And so that night, he came into the ballroom there, and I was standing there, and I thought, I'm going to give this guy the test. And you know why I was there? Because I loved him. I was one of his greatest followers. Everywhere I went, I said, listen to Bo Gritz. I walked up to him. I gave him the handshake of the Master Mason. He immediately grabbed me, took me into the 5 points of fellowship, and whispered Mahabone in my ear. You know what I did? I said, Mahabone my ass. Pushed him away, I walked out, and that's the last time I've ever said anything good about Bo Gritz. So I know how to play their game. You don't know how to do that. You can learn, though. Get in those old books, and it'll teach you exactly how to do it. What the signs are, the passwords, the symbols, the handshakes, everything. You're not supposed to have access to those books, but if you visit enough old bookstores, you'll find them.
Is Morals and Dogma probably one of the best?
Morals and Dogma is one of the best for understanding the real intent of the order, because right in there, Albert Pike admits that their God is Lucifer and that they are a religion. He says it in clear, plain language. Okay, let's take a short break, folks. I know you all need it. Let's take a short break, and then we'll get into some other videos and slides. And, well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this first. Let's go through the beginning of this evolution of the space program, and then we'll take our short break before we get into the other stuff. So, if we can, Doyle, who's the video guy? Who's the video senior expert par excellence dude that does the video? Here he is. Thank you, sir.
Do you recall the approximate number of the tapes that you do the bibliography in the Babylon series?
It's in there. It says bibliography. Just get the list from my wife. Pardon?
The book, Our Story of Atlantis. You know about that one?
Story, yeah.
Our Story of Atlantis?
The New World Order was created on the basis of a paper written by Sir Francis Bacon called The New Atlantis. Yeah. Okay, this doesn't require any narration, just... It has been made with the best equipment. Truth is not very much. Please take that into consideration when viewing this tape, and understand that we have done the best possible job that we can do under the circumstances to bring you a quality documentary. All footage is authentic, and all aerial shots were taken over the test site. Introducing General of the Army Douglas MacArthur with portions of a speech delivered before the Corps of Cadets of the United States Military Academy at West Point on May 12, 1962. The general spoke without a prepared address, without even notes.
You now face a new world, a world of change. The thrust into outer space of the satellite spheres and missiles mark the beginning of another epoch in the long story of mankind. In the 5 or more billions of years, the scientists tell us, it has taken to form the Earth. In the 3 or more billion years of development of the human race, there has never been a more abrupt or staggering evolution. We deal now not with things of this world alone, but with the illimitable distances and as yet unfathomed mysteries of the universe. We are reaching out for a new and boundless frontier. We speak in strange terms of harnessing the cosmic energy, of making winds and tides work for us, of creating unheard synthetic materials to supplement or even replace our old standard basics, to purify seawater for our drink, of mining ocean floors for new fields of wealth and food, of disease preventatives to expand life into the hundred of years, of controlling the weather for a more equitable distribution of heat and cold, of rain and shine, of spaceships to the moon, of the primary target in war no longer limited to the armed forces of an enemy, but instead to include his civil population, of ultimate conflict between a united human race and the sinister forces of some other planetary galaxy.
everybody. My name is Keith Ranch, and tonight we're here in Las Vegas, Nevada at KVEG radio station, and we're here exploring the UFO phenomena that is exploding in Las Vegas. We're here with Mr. Billy Goodman. How you doing, Billy?
Fantastic, Keith. Welcome to Las Vegas.
We are really excited, really excited tonight. We're going to go out to a place called Groom Lake,
Right.
where thousands of people have been calling in reportings of UFOs.
Oh,
Can you tell us about the happening and what is going on with this explosion out here?
it's unreal. What has happened is, first of all, the way it occurred is that we found out through Bill Cooper that there was some activity going on at a location called Groom Lake, which followed up with this UFO hotline out of Los Angeles
Right.
that corroborated that there was something happening. So we talked about a lot of Billy Goodman happening, and one thing led to another, and people said, we want to go out there. So we
Right.
said, okay, let's put together a little trip. And we did. And a couple of Saturdays ago, you had to see this, Keith, to believe it. Over 100 people sitting in a circle in folding chairs with cameras in the middle of the desert. Now, you've got to visualize. Cars and trucks pulled off to the side, vans, everything, buses, all pulled off to the side.
look-
And they saw these lights all over the place. And now we left because we had to get the bus back to Las Vegas, but people stayed overnight, and they saw over 20 other sightings overnight of lights and activity that is unexplainable. You have to understand the area of Groom Lake is off limits to regular air travel and to Air Force and Navy. So no other planes are going to be flying over there except what is happening at Groom Lake. And that's-
Yeah, I understand that you can actually be shot down
Yes.
if you fly in that airspace.
I can't, because I won't do it. You know, I'm not about to fly over there. Yes, if anybody from the Air Force, the Navy, or commercial airlines, yes, they will be shot down. There's no question about it.
Who is Bill Cooper exactly?
Bill Cooper is a gentleman who was an ex-member of the Naval Intelligence Briefing Team. And he was honorably discharged in 1972 from the United States Navy. While in the Navy, as part of the Pacific Fleet, he spotted UFOs literally coming out of the water while he was on watch. Not
Coming
only
out of the water?
Out of the water while he was on watch. Not only did he spot the UFOs, but other members of the Pacific Fleet also saw what he saw. Now, these UFOs not only came out of the water and flew around and did some tricks for them. They didn't do it once. They did it a number of times. Out of the water, back into the water, come out and do some flip-flops for them, and then back into the water. So this man knows for a fact, number one, he saw them with his own eyes. But that's not all. That's not all. The other part is that while he was in the process of being a part of the Naval Intelligence Briefing Team, he had the opportunity to look at some top security papers, and he saw in writing that, in fact, there were UFO craft in captivity and aliens in captivity.
Actual aliens.
Actual aliens in captivity over the years.
Okay, well listen, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up here. One more question. Have you been out to Groom Lake yourself?
I was there.
And what did you see?
I saw lights up in the sky, zigzagging. That's all I can tell you. In other words,
Could they have been our aircraft? Did they act like something like they have?
No. Planes don't do that I know of. Now, I'm not saying we don't have something that we don't know of that's going on at Groom Lake. But you don't see planes zigzagging up and down, flying horizontally, going up and coming down. You don't see those things as far as I know.
Right.
The planes that I'm familiar with. I'm not that much into aeronautics, don't get me wrong.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go out there and check it out for ourselves.
Do it.
So, thanks for the interview, and we will talk to you later.
The only thing I regret is I cannot be with you folks. But I was there, and now it's your turn.
Okay, well, we'll let you know what happens tonight.
I know you will, but Charles Ellery will be out there. And Charles Ellery is my guide. And he's the one who brought us out to 29.5-mile marker on Route 375.
Well, you heard us,
You're on
folks.
the air, Billy. Oh,
He's on the air. Well,
no, I'm not. But I guess
we'll catch up with it.
as far as UFO activity and unsolved mysteries, decided to go into it and to look into what happened at Roswell, New Mexico. I want to read you a little letter that's dated September 21. As a matter of fact, it just got to the radio station today. It took a while to get here. I don't know why. Perhaps she did not mail it. But listen to this. In the late 40s, early 50s, my father was a civilian employee at Wright Air Development Center, now called Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. He was air eyewitness to several pictures of the craft, as well as documents that were circulated among the key personnel in the government. What is being told now is something I have grown up with. My entire family has known of this since I can remember. But we, like the others, were sworn to silence. We were all too aware of the problems my dad would face if we said too much. Can you believe this, Dave? It goes on and on. Even though we knew that things from other planets did exist, she's not saying think, she knew things from other planets did exist, we tried to deny it to ourselves because even a few years ago, to mention such things in public would have bought us one-way tickets to the funny farm. That's only the beginning. There's more with this letter. I mean, there's so much more. This is nothing compared to the mail that I just received today of people telling us that finally the fact is that they have seen or they know of UFOs. Favor, zoom in on this little puppy. Look at it. Can you hear that noise in the background, folks? And camera 4, zoom in on this. This is, I guess it's a Tesla coil. Is that correct? Anybody nod your head? This is the Tesla coil. Now, you've heard me talk on the air about Nikola Tesla. Well, somebody, Ted Rice, brought this down tonight. Look at this. Isn't that something? That is fantastic. All I'm doing is touching it with the tip of my finger, and you hear that. I'm touching this. It looks like a crystal ball type thing, only it's not a crystal ball. And there's a lot of electronic stuff, and all it is plugged into the wall in restaurants. I think I'm seeing the very same thing where you see them sort of flaring out, and you probably have seen these at the Elephant Bar and shenanigans, but this is something else. And camera 4, zoom in on this puppy. Look at that. Oh, wow, I feel like I'm electrified.
Are the rumors that presidents have been briefed on aliens and UFOs true? Has a president ever said anything about extraterrestrials or unidentified flying objects? Let's see.
But I've often wondered, what if all of us in the world discovered that we were threatened by a power from outer space, from another planet? Wouldn't we all of a sudden find that we didn't have any differences between us?
When I left Vietnam, I was sent to the USS Charles Berry D-1035 for a short period with NIS Naval Investigative Service to conduct an investigation on board that investigation.
How many of you ever listened to Billy Goodman when he was on KVEG in Las Vegas? He was absolutely insane. He was a lot of fun. Everybody loved him, and everybody listened to him for 11 states all over the place. And I was a guest on there a lot. Okay. All I got to do is jig this across. There. Okay, everybody get where you can see the slide now. This is going to be a little bit fun, a little bit crazy, very educating, and extremely interesting, I think. Let's see how far off we got by jiggling this table around. Yep, I knew it. Okay. Well, if everybody believes there's UFOs and there's extraterrestrials, why don't they land? Nobody knows the answer to that. Nobody knows if they even exist. UFOs, however, we know are real. This photograph was taken in the early 50s over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. There were headlines in the newspapers talking about the great UFO flap and the pictures that were taken of UFOs over the nation's capital. This is a part of history. It's real. It's not a joke. This is another one of the same bunch. Now, some people claim that these photographs are fake. They were published in the newspapers. Hundreds of thousands of people who lived and worked in Washington, D.C. saw them. This is an ad that appeared in a magazine, Look magazine, as a matter of fact. It said, "Flying mobile camper of the future may be electric powered, plugging into any electric outlet for recharging." Now, why would somebody put an ad in Look magazine with something like this if they didn't think that this was possible? Does anybody know? The truth is, at the same time, during the early 50s, in all of the scientific magazines and in the scientific journals of the day, in popular electronics, popular mechanics, all of those, there were people publishing articles about the use of electromagnetic force fields to create craft that could fly with what appeared to be anti-gravity characteristics. It was no secret then that people were working on this stuff. It was also no secret then that there was a lot of talk and a lot of articles written about technology that the Germans had perfected in their secret weapons program just prior to and during World War II to come up with new types of flying machines and weapons that could be used for Hitler's socialist conquering of the world. And the Germans had developed disc-shaped flying craft that they had developed to the point where they were test flown and witnesses had seen them. And when we went, getting tongue-tied here, when we went into Germany and started to capture German facilities and manufacturing plants, we found the plans and disc-shaped craft in various stages of production and brought them back to the United States. So did Great Britain, so did Canada, and so did the Soviet Union. In the United States, at that time, this wasn't secret. Somewhere during the middle 50s, it became secret. And the reason it became secret is because they perfected it. They made it work. When that happened, you no longer saw any articles appearing in any magazines, scientific journals, or anything else concerning this type of technology. You also saw patents that had been applied for and granted to people like Nikola Tesla and others, classified as top secret and disappeared from the files of the patent office. This is fact. Look magazine, a blueprint for flying saucers. This was, anybody read that date for me? June 14th, 1955. This is the table of contents page for the cover of the magazine that you just saw. There it is. Is this the real flying saucer? This article was written by a journalist who had interviewed a general in the United States Army who described for him this flying saucer, piloted by a human being, built by the United States Army, and in operation at that time. You can get that magazine and read this article. Now, if you'll notice down on the left-hand side there, that picture of the airport of the future, where is it? No, that's not Area 51. It's underground, though, isn't it? It's underground in a mesa. Now, if you take that picture and cut it out of that magazine article and go to Dulce, New Mexico, and stand at the east side of the Archuleta Mesa, on the south side of the San Juan River, and hold that picture up, that is the Archuleta Mesa in Dulce, New Mexico. Part of it's on the Hickory Apache Indian Reservation. The other part is on the Southern Ute Reservation in southern Colorado. Start talking to these Indians about UFOs and they shut up, look at you like you're crazy, and get away from you real quick. Stick around at night. Sometimes you don't see anything. Sometimes you see the most fantastic contraptions flying out of that mesa that you ever saw in your life. Belongs to the United States government. This is a very early 50s safety poster that was taken off a bulletin board in a United States Air Force installation. This is a United States official Air Force photo of the Avro disc in 1955. Avro was a deception presented to the public and the press to get their eyes off of the real secret projects. That's the real Avro car when it was finished. If you want to see this, it's displayed outside the Air and Space Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. You can go there, you can see it, it's right there. It was a disc-shaped craft, it was piloted by a human being, but the only thing that it could do was hover precariously on a tarmac and look like the pilot was drunk. And we believe that that was an intentional portrayal in order to ridicule the concept that we had ever built anything like this that was effective and flew. But we know better than that. This was found in a junkyard, United States Army junkyard. Nobody knows what it was or who built it. It was just sitting in the junkyard and we photographed it. Pardon? What was what? I don't even remember the year. It was quite a while ago, though, I can tell you that. It was nothing recent. This is a photograph that someone made of something that was being tested in a wind tunnel. And it was being tested by NASA. NASA says it was a nose cone, but there's no aircraft that this nose cone fits on. We don't know what it is. But it appears that they were testing the aerodynamics of a disc-shaped object. If they were testing a nose cone, the nose would be pointed into the tunnel. It wouldn't be sideways to the tunnel. This is a saucer-shaped craft that was built by the French Air Force, was operational and flown on many occasions. It's piloted by one man, belonged to the French Air Force. There's another view on it. So when people tell you that these come from outer space, I'm telling you that the chances of them coming from outer space are pretty slim. It's like going in, turning on your TV set, and you can't get a picture. So instead of looking in back to see if it's plugged in, you fly off to New York to find out what's wrong. There's something flying around in our skies. Why should we automatically assume that it came from somewhere light years away? It's not even logical. Especially in light of the fact that we can find no proof anywhere upon the face of this earth that extraterrestrials exist in space, much less have ever visited here. There's all kinds of circumstantial evidence if you accept that what you're seeing is extraterrestrial rather than saying, hey, it's flying in our atmosphere. The logical conclusion is it was built here and it belongs to us. Now, I'm not telling you there's no such thing as extraterrestrials, because I don't know, and neither does anybody else. I am telling you this: there is no evidence whatsoever that extraterrestrials exist anywhere, much less have ever visited this earth. And there have been millions of dollars offered as a reward for anybody that can furnish any such evidence or prove that any such evidence exists, and no one has ever stepped forward to claim those millions of dollars of reward. Simply because there isn't any evidence at all. Period. This is a UFO that was photographed from which some kind of luminous substance was dropping and disappeared. Is this what's going on? Is it? Are we being visited by space people who look at us as little babies in the playpen of the universe, who looks back at the aliens and sees them as insignificant little twerps with a lot of technology? Because I got to tell you, if there really were extraterrestrials and they were really visiting here, it wouldn't be ignored and it wouldn't be treated so lightly by so many people and so many governments and so many scientists. It would be the discovery of all time. And everybody would want a piece of that pie. But that's not happening, is it? Some of the photographs you're going to see that I'm going to show you, and I always take them from official NASA publications. You can get the same books with the same photographs and examine them for yourself. Okay? Some of them came from Exploring Space with a Camera, an official publication of NASA. Some of them came from a NASA publication called The Moon as Viewed by Lunar Orbiter. Some of them came from the Atlas and Gazetteer of the Near Side of the Moon, an official NASA publication. Who are these people that tell you there's no near and far side of the moon? NASA would know, wouldn't they? If they know, why would they publish something talking about the near side of the moon if there is no near side of the moon? Have you ever seen any other face of the moon than the one you look at? No. So these people that tell you there's no such thing as the far side of the moon, they're full of crap. You've never seen any other side of the moon, have you? Now, I've been all around this world on Navy ships. I've been in the Indian Ocean. I've been in the Sea of Japan. I've been in the South China Sea. I've been in the Arctic Ocean, and I've been in Antarctica. And I'm telling you, all around the world, the same moon that you say here, I have seen everywhere I've been. Some of them were taken from lunar photographs from Apollos 8, 10, and 11. Now, if you don't think there's any symbology of all of this NASA stuff, what was the first craft that we ever had that actually landed on the moon? Manned or unmanned? No, that was manned. And it wasn't Apollo 13. How about Apollo 7? First unmanned craft landed on the moon was Apollo 7. What was the first craft that landed on the moon that had men in it? Apollo 11. 7-11. Coincidence? No. What is the system of gematria in the Old Testament of the Bible? 7. What is the system of gematria in the New Testament of the Bible? 11. What was the Apollo craft where they had the disaster that ended the space program? Apollo 13, the symbolic death and the resurrection of a new order in the space program. You're beginning to understand? They're running the show, folks. If you don't know what gematria means, I don't have time to teach you today. You'll have to look that up. Some of them were taken from space images published by Lustrum Press, which were made from official NASA photographs, which they considered to be fine art. Here's a bunch of bumbling dudes in spacesuits up there, not using any brains whatsoever to take these pictures, and these jerks call it fine art. This is the moon from a long way away, they tell us. If you look real closely, though, you don't see any stars in the background, do you? No. You won't see any stars in the background of any NASA photographs taken of any of the Apollo moon landings. Now let me tell you something, folks. This old bit that you can't take photographs of stars on the moon or from the moon is a crock of crap. Stars are out there. Without an atmosphere to filter the light and diffuse the light of the stars and the sun are extremely bright in space where there's a vacuum. They were using Hasselblads. Most of the time they had those Hasselblads set on infinity, which means anything in the frame would have been in focus. The light was so bright they had them stopped down to the lowest f-stop that they could possibly have, because light in space is overpowered. Okay? How come, if they were using the finest cameras, the finest lenses known to man, stopped down to the lowest f-stop that provides you with an unlimited depth of field, with the focus set on infinity, there are no stars in any of the pictures taken by these guys. This is a picture of a crater on the moon. Now look very carefully at that bottom crater. Right in the center of the crater, you will see something white that is extremely tall, that casts a long shadow. See it? This was taken, ladies and gentlemen, by Lunar Orbiter 4. Lunar Orbiter 4 had cameras with a resolving power of 1 mile only. If it was less than 1 mile in size, the camera could not even photograph it. So everything you see here is at least 1 mile or more in size. So whatever that is in that crater is over 1 mile high. Can you imagine that? We're using NASA's own statistics that they have given us. They told us, when we asked them, what is the resolving power of the lenses and the camera on Lunar Orbiter 4, which took this photograph? They said nothing less than 1 mile. Look at this. You see those tracks on the moon? This also was taken with Lunar Orbiter 4. Lunar Orbiter 4 cannot resolve anything with its lens less than 1 mile in size. That's what NASA tells us. Whatever made those tracks is over 1 mile in size just to be able to see it, which means this is a lot more than 1 mile. And the arrow is pointing to whatever made the tracks. Are they telling us the truth? They can't be, because this is crap. You understand what I'm saying? They want us to think that there's somebody rolling around up there on the moon. If you ask NASA what this is, they say it's moon rocks shaken loose by lunar quakes. Look at those tracks, ladies and gentlemen. It comes out of a crater, goes across the ridge of a hill at the top, down into another smaller crater, and rolls uphill. Moon rocks, several miles in size, shaken loose by a moon quake that roll uphill? I don't think so. Here you see a crater on the moon, and on the close edge, the edge nearest to us, we see something that is anomalous on the edge of that crater. You can't tell what it is, but it doesn't belong there. And you see this all over the moon. Things that should not be there are there. There's nothing that could put itself on the inside rim of a crater like that that was made by the impact of a meteorite or something striking the moon. And you can tell that it's a solid object that is raised above the crater floor on that rim by looking at the shadows in comparison to the shadows in the crater. Can you all see it? Where's my little, I've lost my little laser thing. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, where is my laser thing? Hi, baby. Did you hear her say, hi, Bill? There it is. I found my laser thing. Okay, right there. See that? Now, here's how you determine whether something is a hole or whether it's a bump. If you look at the crater, the sun is coming from over there somewhere, the sunlight. It's falling like this. So the inside of the crater on that side is dark, and on this side it's illuminated. The outside of the crater rim is dark over here. Over here it's illuminated. But this sticks up, and so it's struck by the sun on this side, and there's shadow on the other. Can everybody see that? Okay, now I have a degree in photography, so it's easy for me to determine these things and see things that maybe you have trouble with, so you have to talk to me if you're having problems. This is, see right here? See the tracks? Lunar rocks shaken loose by lunar quakes. Look at the path of the tracks. It goes in and out of holes, up and down hills. Do you think that's possible? No. Of course not. Here we are again. Lunar tracks on the moon. Where does it end? Right here, with something that throws a shadow, which is what? An obelisk. That is an obelisk. We have found obelisks all over the moon. All over the moon. Now, who do you think put those obelisks there? Huh? Are they on the moon? Or are they in these phony photographs? They're in these phony photos, folks. There are no obelisks on the moon. These are fake photographs. Lunar Orbiter 4 could only resolve things that are 1 mile in size. Now, how tall do you think that obelisk is if Lunar Orbiter 4 could only resolve things 1 mile in size? Which means just to be able to see the thing in its tiniest form, it's got to be 1 mile in size. Do you believe there are obelisks several miles tall on the surface of the moon? Well, I don't either. What do we have here? You know what? I need somebody to jump up there and right back there, see that opening in the back of the stage? My piece of paper fell down there. I need that piece of paper. It's a yellow piece of paper. 27. Right here on this photograph, you can see some things that don't belong on the moon. Can anybody pick it out? Can anybody see it? Talk up loud. Look right in the center of the photograph. Thank you. Anybody see what I'm talking about? Isn't there a cross right there? Flanked on both sides by rectangular and square objects right here. Can everybody see it? What are the odds against a perfect 90-degree right angle occurring in nature? Angles occurring in nature anywhere. How many right angles are in that cross? There are 12 that I can see, and that's only if it's a two-dimensional object. If it's a three-dimensional object, there are at least 24. Come, if you can't see, there are going to be small things in these pictures. Get up here where you belong. And don't complain to me if you can't see, if you insist on staying back there. Get up here. There's plenty of chairs. Nobody's going to bite you. Okay? Come on up here and you'll be able to see them clearly. If you want to sit on the floor right in front of the stage, be my guest. I want you to see this. So come up, find a chair, get comfortable. Can you see it right there? Can you see it now?
Now I see it, yes.
Right there. If it's a two-dimensional flat object like a piece of paper, there are 12 at least right angles on the cross alone, not counting the rectangular buildings that are on either side of it. It's absolutely impossible, does not happen in nature ever. If it's a three-dimensional object, then there are at least 24 right angles on the cross alone, not counting the right angles on these buildings and these buildings over here.
Now, which is the cross you're talking about? I'm still lost.
Right there. See that cross?
It goes this way and cross. It goes up and down and cross.
Which is just like a,
Oh, like this?
yeah,
Like
a
that?
cross, yeah.
Oh, all right. I see it now. It's right in the center.
Okay,
right on the edge of
there
the
you go.
cross.
Anybody else having problems? I want to help you see this. If you don't see it, come on over here.
What is that, a bunch of buildings?
You see it?
Come on over here. Get right in front and look right there. See where I'm pointing?
Steady, Bill. It's on an X tilted. The center part was tilted over.
That's about as steady as it gets.
Bullseye.
Everybody see it? Okay. Now I want you to understand, and if you doubt me, go to as many experts as you want and ask them what the odds are against finding one right angle in nature. And then build it up to the 12 that you can clearly see there if it's a two-dimensional object. And they're going to look at you like you're nuts. And I'm going to tell you right now, we have blown that up even bigger than this, and it is a three-dimensional object, and there are a minimum of 24 right angles on that cross. So NASA wants us to believe that something's on the moon that cannot occur in nature, which means it's got to be built by intelligent beings. And what's the resolving power of Lunar Orbiter 4? 1 mile. Can you conceive of how big those buildings are? Bigger than anything ever built on this earth by man. If they're really there.
Is this the front side or the back side?
Near side. Yeah. Now take a look at this. You'll see some more things that are just absolutely incredible. Anybody see anything unusual in this picture?
Appears to be a square near the top.
What do you see? What do you see, gang? Look in the craters and you will begin to see
White things.
letters. Yeah, there's letters in some of those craters. It doesn't say anything, they're just letters. Here you can see again tracks on the moon, photographed by Lunar Orbiter 4. Now look at this. This one comes out of the bottom of a crater, rolls up to the top of the hill, and then down the hill, and then across and stops right there. This one comes over here, down inside the rim of a crater, up a hill, and then down a hill, and then up another hill, and stops right there, and throws the shadow of an obelisk. Pardon? I forget what altitude Lunar Orbiter 4 was, but they say that it only had a resolving power of 1 mile. It was one of the earliest unmanned orbiters that we sent up to orbit the moon. In fact, it was the 4th, the only one that really ever sent back good pictures of the early attempts. Now take a look at this, folks. What is that hovering on the edge of that crater? Anybody know? What is this? It's a crater, but it's not the natural crater of a meteor impact.
A lunar doodlebug.
Pardon?
A lunar doodlebug.
No, not a lunar doodlebug. It's an artificial crater, folks. Look at the craters made by meteors. And then look at that. That's an artificial crater. Who made it? It wasn't a meteor impact. Meteors impacting do not make craters like that.
You're saying the photo's not altered.
No, what I'm telling you is that I know these photographs have been altered. You don't know that.
Okay.
I know it because I've studied them. I've compared them to other photographs of the same areas of the moon, taken at other times by other orbiters and things like that. I know that these photographs have been tampered with. What I'm trying to show you is that somebody is trying to make us believe that something's happening on the moon that's not.
In the photos that didn't show.
In other photos, and this absolute area right here, those things are not there. Look at this. What is this? What is that, folks? What are these? What's this? Doesn't that look like an airplane junkyard? Looks like a bunch of planes all piled up on top of each other. Is it? And what's this right here? See this huge X?
Looks like another airplane.
Look at this huge X right here. There's one cross, another cross. Okay, now this is a cross, and just like the other one, it's going to have 12 right angles. All crosses have 12 right angles. 2 at the end of each arm, and 1 at each intersecting angle in the center. Now I got to try to remember what this is. It's 32. Is that 32? Can't be. Yes, 32. This is mislabeled. Well, I don't remember what this is now. No, I don't remember what this is.
What's the stuff?
There's something in here, but I don't remember what it is.
What's this stuff at the top?
What
It's got
stuff?
like a U shape and then it inverted.
I have no idea. But it's not anomalous.
Is it where the black dot is and all the lines come out of the black hole right there?
No, I've forgotten what's on here. There's something on here. Some of these sometimes.
It's not the monkey face in the pipe right in the middle of the bottom.
Pardon?
It's not the monkey face.
Are you having fun? Do you want to stay here? You keep screwing around with me and you won't be here. Okay? Do you hear what I said? Okay, this was supposed to be the last one. What you're seeing here is something very strange. Whatever made these tracks here entered the crater here and gouged out a portion of the crater's rim. Moved down while it was gouging out the crater's surface, came back, crossed its own track, went up and gouged out another portion there. Can you all see it? Now this would not be significant, and you wouldn't be able to tell that this was artificial if it had not crossed its own track. Does everybody see that? You can tell where it entered, came down, came back, crossed its own track, clearly overrode its original path, and then went over the rim of the crater, and everywhere it entered or exited, it took out a portion of the rim. Now this, we don't know has been tampered with, because we've seen these things in other photographs in the same spot all the time. It's like there was a great excavating machine moving around. These are things that road graders do and things like that. This is the crater Kepler. Kepler was a famous astronomer, and this crater was named after him. You can see that this is anomalous. It is not a natural crater that was made by a meteorite. When something impacts the surface of the moon, moving at tremendous speeds, it vaporizes everything and throws material out away from it and leaves a perfectly round crater. What you're seeing here is something that has been artificially created here. How was that done on the moon, when the only thing that can change the moon's surface is the impact of a meteor? They tell us there's no atmosphere, don't they? Well, there can't be wind erosion if there's no atmosphere. If there's no water, there can be no water erosion. Is that correct? We've never seen a volcano on the moon. There's no evidence that there's ever been a volcano on the moon that we can find. So the only other thing would be moon quakes, and this does not look like the production of a quake. This row here, when you examine it under high magnification, are 4 round somethings directly in a row. This comes down here, and there is what appears to be a wall or an abutment here. There's no proof that it's made as a wall intentionally. You just can't tell. It's just not normal. It's not natural. Here you see again the tracks made by objects on the moon that come up out of craters. Everybody see that? You have even illumination from the sun on the moon. So that deep shadow area is inside a crater. They came up out of a crater. So they're not rocks broken loose by moonquakes. What are they? I don't know. Again, and we do this so that you can see that it came out of the NASA publication, Lunar Orbiter 4, page 73, I think that is. And you can go get that book and find this same photograph on that same page. And it's official NASA photograph. Why do we insist on doing this? Because when I first started, I wasn't that careful, and people told me I faked the photographs. So I have to do this, so that you can go get those same photographs out of those same books and make sure that I'm telling the truth, because that's what you need to do, because I could be lying to you.
Oh, wow.
Now this is very interesting, because right at the base of that cliff is an object that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right angles, and that's if it's a two-dimensional object. Can that occur in nature? No. If it can't occur in nature, can it occur on the moon? No. So it's artificial. It's either on the moon, put there by somebody who can make right angles, or it's a fake photograph. Here you can see a pyramid right here. And it's not too far from what I just showed you, which is right there. These are in the crater Copernicus. Oh, I forgot to show you something else. Right over here, you see that? It's a huge cross, like a Christian cross. There's a tall spire, and right at the top, there's a cross. Over here is a tower. These were all taken by Lunar Orbiter 4. See that tower right there? Miles high. Miles. This is Kepler up here that I showed you. These are the tracks. This is nothing. I mean, it's something, but we're not concerned with it. There's a close-up macro photography of whatever it is that makes the tracks. This is an antenna rising straight up out of the lunar surface. Where does that come from?
Right here on Earth.
How do you like that? Just think how many miles that's got to be. But we don't know that this was taken with Lunar Orbiter 4. This came out of Space Images, which is the art book, that these people took official NASA photographs and published them in that book as art. Anybody see anything artistic about this?
It's like a radio tower.
NASA just will tell you that it's anomalies on the lunar surface, and it's boulders shaken loose by moonquakes, and are you crazy, or are you, or something. They will not admit that there's anything there.
I heard or read one time that one of the missions they made up there, that they set off some detonations on the surface of the moon.
They did.
They measured it, and they claimed that it was hollow, from what I read.
Well, I never heard that NASA claimed that it was hollow. I've heard other people say that it was hollow based upon those explosions, but NASA has never said that. What is this? Oh yeah, this is another one with the antenna. This was made from right there. What appears to be an antenna. I don't know that it's an antenna. It just looks like an antenna. This is really interesting. You know what this is, folks?
It's like a choo-choo train.
It looks like a choo-choo train, doesn't it? Because those are puffs of smoke or vapor coming out of vents in the moon's surface. Every place there's a vent there, 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 and there. And what's coming out of these vents is some kind of smoke or vapor. Now, is it possible to have vents in a straight line like that in nature? Yes, it is, as a matter of fact. If the Earth's crust is moving over an active volcano zone, you will get a line of craters that are in a straight line. That can occur. But If we're talking about the moon and there's no atmosphere on the moon, can you have clouds of vapor like that? Can you? No. Because the vacuum of space would suck that vapor out of that hole and dissipate it immediately. There would be no cloud, no puff, and these have to be tremendous in size, don't they?
Yeah, they gotta be several miles.
So, if those are really on the moon, then there has to be an atmosphere on the moon, doesn't there? What would be proof of an atmosphere on the moon? Water. If you find water on the moon, that means there has to be an atmosphere, or water could not stay there. It would dissipate into the vastness of space. It would just dissipate and become a part of space. Didn't they just recently announce that there's water on the moon? That they found water on the moon? Didn't NASA publicly release that just recently? The answer is yes, that they did. They said that they have found water on the moon and ice on the moon. And I'm telling you right now, there cannot be water or ice on the moon unless there's an atmosphere on the moon. If there's an atmosphere on the moon, then what we're looking at could be actually on the moon. Pardon? No, that was the moon, the Earth's moon. They've always known for many, many years that there is water on the moon of Jupiter known as Europa.
They had to say that to cover themselves.
Here's another proof that flying saucers are not in the realm of fantasy, nor do they have to belong to extraterrestrials. When they announced this, they had been using it in secret for many, many years. It's not a new development. So they've been using battlefield flying saucers as remote-controlled vehicles for reconnaissance. I have seen these flying all over the Tikaboo Valley in Nevada, just 6 or 7 feet above the ground. Sometimes they follow me around.
Are they silent?
And they take pictures of me. And these guys know where I'm at all over the time.
Are they silent?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw one of them in the YouTube.
Absolutely silent.
I drove right up on it. I turned my lights off.
The smallest I've seen is 6 feet in diameter. I've never seen any smaller than that. I've seen ones larger. Pardon? Why would I shoot one? Pardon? They don't want you in that valley finding out what they have. They want to know where you're at. They don't want you going in and photographing things inside the installation. But I've done it. See, I've been going there for many years before anybody even knew the existence of this place, because I found out about it in 1971 when I was on the briefing team for Admiral Clary. So long before anybody ever heard of Area 51 or even thought that it even might exist somewhere in the world, I was making trips out there taking pictures. Most of those pictures nobody's ever seen, simply because if I show those pictures, they'll know that I've been in places that are restricted, and you're not supposed to be in those places. That's just an extension of that same article. Whoa! 1961, they said they found water geysers on the moon. Houston. NASA, press release. 10 miles of water clouds around the Apollo instrument.
The geyser lasted 14 hours.
It's from the Santa Ana Register. October 16th, 1971. NASA press release. Now, why would they be faking all this stuff and trying to make us think that extraterrestrials are coming here? Anybody read the report from Iron Mountain? You should. Those of you who have read it probably know the answer. The